ability to change the profile picture. And to remove the profile picture. I had some other functionalities, but I had to kind of disconnect them in order to work on other parts of the app without interruption. But that's pretty much it for my mobile app presentation. If you have any questions about what kind of NPM package or coding I used for the mobile app, I can take your questions.
What kind of coding did you use for the mobile app?
So it's React Native framework, and React Native actually has quite a lot of developer platforms that help develop the mobile app. One of them is Expo, where this Expo app actually, it's where you can kind of work on your code in VS Code and display it in an actual mobile app so you could look at it. And I used a lot of NPM packages from Expo. For the navigation, I use React Navigation. And within Expo, there's the async storage information and SQLite information, which I implemented. Also, Expo, there's the coding for adding the profile picture. And also, when you type in the phone number, you can have, or it automatically formats the telephone number for you.
Cool. So like all your pages could be in Expo, and there could be conditional logic that goes between the pages, and you can carry session data and all sorts of things.
Exactly. Like when you log in, filling in the name and the email, it's conditional logic where it has to meet the requirements, and then the change, the next button changes color to allow you to log into the next screen.
Thank you, Heejung.
Yeah, this is good.
I don't know if I have any other questions. Anyone else have some questions?
No, I think this is definitely cool. So you have basically, is it the two screens that we're looking at? That the screen and that the profile.
Yes, and my next step is kind of continuing my React education and also implementing like a shopping cart. I'm kind of following my bootcamp's tutorial for the shopping cart portion.
Okay. Awesome. Good job. Good job.
And what bootcamp are you using? Would you recommend it, and maybe drop a link for it?
Oh yeah, I went to General Assembly, and I kind of picked a bootcamp really quickly right after my role was eliminated. But I knew one other person who went to a bootcamp, and I kind of looked online at several different bootcamps. But I ended up choosing General Assembly because I had a 10% coupon at that time. And then the other bootcamp that the person I knew about that went, they didn't have like the 3-month program anymore. Theirs was more like a 6-month part-time program. And I kind of wanted to finish the bootcamp as soon as possible so I could look for a job as soon as possible, but it's pretty tough out there right now. And I don't regret doing the intense immersive bootcamp after graduating and volunteering for Hack for LA. I realized I could literally start working, as a junior developer, reading the documentation, getting all of the servers running, and start working on like easy tickets, making changes. and things like that. So I have no regrets myself. I actually needed a boot camp to kind of help me to learn in a structured format, because learning on my own was actually pretty difficult for coding. I couldn't really connect it anywhere, and it just kind of took a long time. And boot camps, you go through beginning to end pretty quickly, repetitively. So yeah, it was great. It was hard, but but there's like a lot of boot camps out there. But one thing I really liked about General Assembly also was their outcomes program. Their career coaches they're very knowledgeable. All the things that they said, I go out and listen to other people speak, and they really are up to date of like what's going on, and they have their partnerships with companies, and then the companies have they kind of give seminars and give tips and mentors on how to like prepare for jobs, and also they post job openings of companies that they are in partnership with, and they don't get paid for the job posting. It's just kind of like their way of cultivating like a business relationship. Hope that helps.
Excellent.
Elliot, are you looking for a boot camp? Is that what you're thinking?
I mean, I'm generally curious. Right now I'm doing like Udemy, and I'm also doing Trailhead. It's a Salesforce thing. But yeah, I'm always open to checking out boot camps, especially if people felt that it was really good.
There's self-educated people out there, and like that's awesome. I guess it just depends on your learning ability. For me, I kind of like dabbled in coding and try to follow like books, but really like the boot camp, starting from beginning to end, setting up your computer, working in coding, working with frameworks, and doing CRUD, CRUD functions and hosting and running, like getting your server started and things like that. Like the foundation that I learned was awesome. So like for me, a person like me that probably needs like more structured and guided work, I found it to be great. Like I wouldn't be able to teach myself coding. It would take forever.
Awesome. Cool. Does anybody else have any other questions for Heejung? Also, yeah, feel free to Heejung, drop your contact info in the chat. So somebody does want to reach out, they can do that. And excellent. All right. So yeah, we're ready for the next presenter. Who wants to go?
I could go.
All right, Elliot, absolutely, take the floor.
Sure. So let me share my screen. And by the way, like welcome, or I'm happy to be welcome to this group. It's very awesome to be here. So thanks everyone. Thanks Omari. And I do hope to come to future meetings too.
Awesome. Welcome.
So what I can do here is share the quick slide deck I put together. It has like my contact info, and it has 3 projects that I'm working on. So hopefully, can everyone see my screen? Whoops. Can everyone like see this?
Can see it, yes.
Yes, perfect. So yeah, here's kind of my contact info, and here are 3 links to my projects. These are kind of just for fun. I mean, like I'm not sure any of them will really ever generate money, but it's kind of intended to be a portfolio to show what I can do, what my interests are. The first one, it's a web scraper. It actually every day it scrapes 1 million websites, and it collects the headers, the DNS information, and it tracks references to specific technologies. So for instance, we can see that Microsoft is using Cloudflare because there's a Cloudflare response header in the website. And here's some other technologies it's using. So if you guys have ever heard of builtwith.com, it's very similar to that. And the reason I love this idea is because it's completely free. There's no startup cost. This data I'm collecting, you don't have to pay to collect it. The reason this is kind of a challenging idea is because it's a massive data storage challenge, data delivery challenge, and keeping the database fast. So, of course, those things have been challenging, and it's been keeping me busy. And one thing you'll notice here is that the front end isn't very robust. I'm actually hoping to make another pass on this soon with React and Tailwinds to make it much nicer. Here's my tech blog. So at one point, I decided to create a multi-site WordPress instance so I could create WordPress sites for myself and for anyone else who wants one. And here I'm just kind of putting like tutorials and information. So for instance, how to generate a TLS certificate could be helpful. How to create a business email for free. And this is the one that I'll dive into in a few minutes, which is kind of like my infrastructure monitoring and alerting framework. And then finally, this was like my first kind of offshoot project where I just became aware of this currency exchange rate data providers. And they're really just collecting data every day for free, storing it in a database and serving it in an API. And I thought, you know, there's no reason I couldn't do that myself. So I did. And basically this collects several times a day from International Monetary Fund, the European Bank, the Bank of London, and several other banks that basically publish exchange rate data daily. So here's the exchange rate data from today, just maybe 2.5 hours ago. And it kind of collects this and serves it in an API. So then I'm, you know, doing these projects and I'm trying to think about how I can really make money. And I'm still not there yet, folks, but I think I'm starting to come in on some things that are having more potential. So I've been working with Salesforce for like 5 years. Like it was kind of my intro into tech. And when I say with Salesforce, what I mean is that I would be a developer or an admin at a company that uses Salesforce. So I decided, and I always thought it was cool that they have this App Exchange marketplace to create one or maybe a few Salesforce apps. Now, one thing to note is that when you create an app, it has to go through a security review that normally costs $1,000, and it'll probably be about $1,000 a year to renew the security. But if you release your app for free, you don't have to pay that. So my first app is for free, and it's really just a lot of different features that I crammed in to see if the security team would say anything or make me change it. And what it literally is it just syncs currency exchange rate data from that API I just showed you to Salesforce. And this is what it looks like. But I can actually show you more clearly what it looks like. So this is it. And the thing I want to show you guys that's really cool, which I didn't know at first, is that these Salesforce Lightning Web Components are actually React components. I don't have to do as much installation of JavaScript libraries, like some of it's already set up, but you really are learning React when you learn Salesforce LWCs. Whoops. So what I can show you is, I'll delete all the data. Now when I refresh this component, in a few seconds, we should see it, should see that occurred. Okay, and now I'll backfill it again. So then it just makes an API request to the API. It might take, I don't know, 30 seconds. Okay, there it came back. And if I refresh this report, we'll see some new data here that there was some deletes and creations registered. Another thing is, like, part of what I coded was that this table you can sort by. If you change the date frame, it changes, but it maintains the sorting. Simple stuff like that. This is actually chart.js. And to get an external library into Salesforce LWC, it is a little bit of extra steps involved. Then I just quickly wanted to show you what the listing will look like. So here I was able to put a nice, description, some images, and of course SEO is something you're thinking about because people are searching in here. And we can also take a look at, who I'm going to be competing with. So here's the other free currency exchange rate apps. And in my opinion, I should have the market cornered for this very specific niche of free apps. So yeah. Then I just wanted to show you a little bit of the code. So I'm using Visual Studio, which has basically an integration with Salesforce. Here's some of the actual JavaScript. So there's some like pre-built modules from Salesforce. Some of these are my own imports. And then, we're actually doing some manipulations in JavaScript, HTML, and CSS. And of course, it is reactive. So, I can reference a variable, and when it updates in JavaScript, it will update in HTML as well. Okay. Let's get that out of the way if I can. Okay, so one thing I just wanted to show you guys, which is awesome, is that Salesforce has this free online training place called Trailhead, where you can learn for free. And it's not just Salesforce, like it applies to certain other things too. So they have this awesome intro to JavaScript, which I thought was like very well done. And it basically talks about the evolution of JavaScript. It was invented in the late 1990s. It wasn't touched for 20 years. And then, they started adding, they started getting very serious about it and, having a formal way to evolve the language. They started basically making some of the libraries into mainstream features like promises. They added lets and consts and async and all that stuff. Then you can go on to this building Lightning Web Components, which is basically building React components. And then you can finally get your JavaScript developer certification if you want to, which could help you get a job at Salesforce, but it can also help you build up your resume in general. Okay, so not to eat up too much of our time, I'll just quickly show you. This is, again, a piece of my multi-site WordPress self-hosted instance, and it's kind of self-documenting in a sense. It's showing you how it is created. So here I have, I'm basically using caching and using Varnish, Nginx, and Flask with Postgres, and I'm using Grafana to like collect all the metrics and view it. So I get, like real-time usage of CPU, disk, and RAM. I can plot page views. So when someone visits my site, I can see like their IP address, if they already had a cookie, if they decide to log in, all that stuff. I can see kind of like how overworked my server is, what my cache hit ratio is. Am I getting DDoSed? Am I getting cache busting attacks? So this has been really fun and interesting to set up. And I'm operating this kind of hybrid environment where I have 9 computers like in my closet. It's actually right over here. And then I have a few instances, very small instances in the cloud that just literally run the front end of the website. So right now when I load this, if it's in cache, it'll come from Vultr, which is a cloud hosting provider. But let's say I publish a new site and it's a brand new article. It's going to go from Vultr all the way to my home network and back to deliver that content. Yeah, so, you know, the services I offer, it's kind of, I'm kind of like someone that people bring their very challenging technical ideas or challenges to. My motto is kind of like, it's always possible to automate. So I'm always kind of just looking for interesting projects. Like I've done a lot of CRM, I've done a lot of lead gen and email campaigns, infrastructure monitoring. I know how to do caching and web scraping, database management, and front-end development. Yeah, so that's kind of what I wanted to share with you guys today.
Thank you for that presentation. That was super interesting, Elliot. I thought almost everything you built, I was like tracing along. I got called for a moment there, but like, it was amazing. Yeah, what you're doing, especially the stuff, the observability things that you set up in the end. How long did it take you to set up your observability for your local networks? And then you said you're on Vultr, which means, I mean, you're dropping buzzwords, which I know, which I'm like, oh, he knows where to put his stuff for the fastest speed. He knows what he's doing. You pick Vultr when you want something razor fast. Like that's why you pick Vultr. Like only few people know that. You couldn't walk around many web developers and be like, "Hey, you hosted Vultr." Like, so you have a lot of idea of like the DevOps setup and like the IT web setups in the background and the observabilities of such, and of course all these rack components. Microservices. Yeah, I'm pretty impressed. Like wow, man. Thanks for sharing. I guess my question would be, how long did it take you to set up your observability? Was that something you did over a short period of time or like a longer period of time? And are you doing observability for events also, or is it all performance-based metrics?
Yeah, so the observability is it is for events, but it also captures performance. When you're logging with Varnish, you can get really everything about the request, including the time to last byte, like the server side time to last byte. And you can also estimate the round trip time. It like tells you how many milliseconds away the client is. So I feel like you really get both. But lately, I have been thinking that using Google Analytics would be an improvement because, for instance, a week ago, my logging turned off and I had to turn it back on, figure out how to make that automatic. And, I think it's a good idea just to also have Google Analytics going.
I haven't used Varnish. I'm familiar with, what's the one that just sold? Splunk. Splunk is the one that I'm familiar with that I've set up on systems. Can you compare the two? What would you say?
Splunk is actually, I would say, a competitor of Grafana. So Varnish is my caching engine and logging producer, but Grafana is my metrics and log visualizer and aggregator. So yeah, Splunk is a public software as a service, in addition to like what New Relic, Datadog, and various others. So Splunk is expensive, right? It costs a lot of money. Mine's actually completely free. There's also Grafana Cloud for free. And then there's paid tiers as you start to use it more. So yeah, I'm really into like trying to figure out how to build it myself and run it for really cheap. And then maybe there's something that you can sell to someone else and still cut them a big break off of what they would pay for Splunk.
I see your great. I see your scraping, and I'm familiar with Built With, and that they sell the data that they scrape, and you probably are too. Is this an idea that you have for the future? I have also written some scrapers, and once I wrote the scrapers and I evaluated my data, I realized like how much more I had to write in order to get clean scrapes, because it was only getting what was accessible instead of like everything. And yeah.
Well, web scraping is a constant battle. It's kind of like an arms race between scrapers and security people. So part of what I plan to do is start to use Selenium and browser automation to really push the boundary there. But you know, Built With doesn't have the world's best data. Like it's actually the most accurate that I've seen, but you can still find holes in it. So no one really has a perfect picture of the internet in real time. So yeah, I mean, the idea is for my company list is to hopefully just generate traffic first. And I'll see, maybe I'm getting, you know, so many hits a day. These are what people like to download, kind of go into the analytics of it. And then I will say, okay, well, I have 100 users here. 90% of them are using it this much, but this other 10% are like really using it a lot. So maybe I will introduce some pricing for them. And that's my idea, is to have a few people eventually pay if they're finding it to be very useful.
Right on. Yeah. I personally want to sit down and have coffee with you and talk to you. Maybe other people will too.
Yeah.
Oh, sure.
Yeah, definitely great. Sorry. Definitely a great presentation. I appreciate that. And do you have I don't know, there are so many different components to your presentation, but is there a particular client that you're trying to like kind of focusing on, or that you're looking for?
You know, I guess it's maybe, you know, there's a few aspects, but one that's interesting is these SEO type websites that have thousands and thousands of pages, like trying to come up with strategies to crack that. Companies that want to start doing serious CRM stuff, but you know, maybe they're just playing with HubSpot, but they want to, you know, do more email campaigns. So, and also it's just like, if there's a new interesting challenge, maybe no one's ever done it before, like that's also really fun and interesting.
Right on. Okay. Awesome.
I met some guys last year that they were working in AppSec, and they're like, we're going to scan the web, and they built elastic containers on AWS, which would balloon upward. At one point, they were 4,500 machines, and they scanned the entire web in like 90 minutes or something like that, with 4,500 machines from AWS. It cost them like $450. They had figured out the first time they did it, they messed it up, and it cost them like $1,200. They only got a fraction of what they needed, and then someone helped them with their code, and they did it. But because they did that, they got like local famous, and they quit their jobs, and now they're getting different job offers because they have like a scraping of all the major ports for 110 million locations.
Oh, cool. Okay, great. Well, appreciate that awesome presentation. Appreciate it again. Thanks so much. Also, I don't know if you did, but did you want to drop your contact information in the chat for anybody that wants to reach out? That'd be great.
Sure.
Absolutely. Okay. And we can whoever wants to go go now. And
all right. I can go.
Okay, great. Awesome.
All right. Just give me 1 second. Okay. Hi, everyone. My name is Kimberly. I'm a web designer and a digital marketer. This is the portfolio I created recently. So yeah, just going down. And these are the two projects that I created. One is a blog and the other one is for a client. I'll click the one for the client. So I'm able to create logos and, well, this is in Spanish, but yeah, I'm also currently creating the Facebook ads for him. So, yep, this is what we have here. It's a little simple, but you know, that's what he wanted. And I'm gonna go here for the blog site. I'm able to create articles, blogs with SEO in mind. Yeah, these are the blogs I created. And let's see. Let me go to our services section. So yeah, I'm mostly really adept at content writing, digital marketing, web design, and yeah, I just use a lot of SEO knowledge, and I have some HTML, CSS knowledge, some JavaScript too. And right now I'm mainly focusing on digital marketing. So basically SEO strategies, Google Analytics, Google Ads. Yeah, that's about it. I don't think I have anything too techy, but definitely I'm able to get some clients, so it's working. All right. Well, if anyone has any questions.
What languages do you prefer to code in?
Well, currently I'm using WordPress, but I'm using their code blocks in case if I want to add anything fancy. So some CSS in there. Actually, this one is just pure CSS animation.
What industries are you looking to work for?
So right now, my client is in appliance repair. So I'm hoping to get more referrals from him and his business, so I can work with more appliance repair businessmen and maybe plumbing. I have some people in that too.
Yeah, that was actually the question I was going to ask. Is there, it's the same question I had to Elliot, but yeah. So you have is there a particular area that you're sort of targeting as far as that you're looking for, or is it pretty broad and you're just looking to gather more clients in a variety of different areas?
I'm just trying to get more clients in a variety of different areas, but so far I've noticed that a lot of my clients want more digital marketing experience, so I'm mainly focusing on that right now.
Okay. Also, where physically are you located?
Los Angeles.
Okay.
Okay.
Anyone else have any questions for Kimberly?
Do you have a price range that you're promoting, that you're offering packages at, or anything like that? Because someone called me up the other day and asked me, she's like, "Do you have a package? And do you do this?" I'm like, "Whoa, okay."
Yeah. Actually, I charged the one for the repair. I charged it like $400, which is really low, I noticed, and I didn't know that. I thought that was fair, but then when I saw the affiliate membership link and I saw other people's packages, I noticed that I really need to hike up the price. So yeah.
The average website in the United States, or the median website, is sold for $3,000. The average developed website is between $5,000 and $10,000, and yeah, I think there's a lot of people that expect their websites to fall in that range that I'm not eligible personally for, and there's a lot of opportunity because I think there's people out there that are looking to purchase under $10,000 for a website that are ready to go. and maybe we can pass around some of these leads that are coming through.
Definitely.
Okay.
Yeah. So yeah, I mean, and that's what I'll also mention too. That's one of the Kimberly brought it up as actually a good point, which is that for those of you guys who are in the affiliate community, we do have a spreadsheet. So we share our information, and so you can certainly see what other folks are doing, and might give you some ideas and that sort of thing. It's not really the purpose of it, but certainly it can be useful in that way. So cool, awesome, thank you so much. Okay, so definitely want to, whoever else, I know Ryan, they haven't gone yet. There might be someone else who's here who wants to go.
Is Anna interested in going? Anna?
I didn't sign up, to be honest. I had just found this group. I think this is my second time, so I didn't even know what the format was. I thought I'm happy to go. I just wanted to observe because I didn't know what I was like intimidated to like present.
Don't be intimidated. Yeah, that's cool.
Yeah, but I can do a quick presentation. I just didn't have anything, like I didn't submit, your form or anything, so I don't even know what it asked.
Yeah, so I mean, I would say that generally we like that, but it's at the same time we don't. I mean, we certainly have time. If we didn't have certainly, but if we do have time, so if you would like to, it's really for the benefit of yourself as well as the in the meeting who want to know more about you. So.
Sure. Yeah. I can do an off the cuff. I'll make it quick.
Sure.
Let me just hold on. Google Meet always throws me off, so I don't close you as a tab. Hold on. Let me just put myself on Do Not Disturb so I can share my screen. Okay, I will show you. I guess there's one site I did recently. So I guess I should back up. So I am web design, and I primarily work in, I guess, like visual builders. I'm working to get myself more educated in CSS and that sort of thing, and I definitely use it. But it's not advanced. It's, I like working in the visual builders, and so let me show you one. So this is one site I just did for a client. They were can you see my screen okay? Am I sharing it? Oh, hold on, let me.
Yeah, right now I'm fascinated by the background.
Okay.
Wow.
Yeah, so this was a client who they were a graphic novel, I guess, author. I could show you their before too. They had a site, and so this was kind of a redesign effort. And so basically this is their current featured book versus their, they have like a series of books they sell. So I kind of just featured it in the hero banner. I just always look to focus on, the hero banners, obviously, like if somebody doesn't scroll, what's the one thing you want them to take away? And so then that was kind of what I featured, and they had this really cool, like the mood board was very, what do they call it? Like kind of like monsterish, but for teens. And then this was kind of more of her like testimonials and like a little bit more going deeper into the book. And these are like her like characters from the book. And so then you could purchase the book, but she also wanted to sell some collectibles from the book. So I always try to put a call to action in every section. And then this was her second main series. So again, I'm just playing off of the books for pulling in the imagery. So this was her second series to kind of highlight. This was all on her homepage, obviously. And then just pulled in some of her other, I guess what else you could shop. Like she has a whole, other kind of series of books, small bio. And then, and it was kind of a small site because she had like a really teeny tiny budget. So I just offered to kind of do a few pages. But this was a really fun one. This was her whole book kind of has this whole world, and she has like a whole Kickstarter, and she pulls people in. So this was actually like one of my favorite pages to design recently, because she has these amazing characters. So kind of pulling in the characters. And then this is kind of like, these are just anchors that will kind of take you down to kind of get more of the characters. Yeah, so just kind of more going deeper into the book. You can meet the crew. These are her book characters. And let's see what else. Oh, the villains. Like her Kickstarter info. And then she has like a cast your own spell. So it was like a really, really rich, I guess, like project to work on, because it just had so much fun kind of like assets and elements to it. And let me see. Oh, and then her econ, like her bookstore. So this is just like really basic, because this is on, she was on Squarespace. So it's kind of a really basic setup. But that was kind of just like cleaning up and organizing this. So that, yeah, that was that. I mean, that was her, pretty much her small little shop. I'm trying to think. I don't know if you guys should I share another one, or is that enough? I don't want to. I'm trying to
We have a
think.
hard stop. That's good.
Oh, okay. Okay. I can stop. That could be good. So,
If we have a hard stop. I don't
oh,
know.
oh,
And yeah, you can share another one.
Yeah, if we don't have a hard stop,
oh.
we
share
don't.
another one. I've
We
been
don't.
looking at your
We're not-
design,
we're not-
and it's like
we
all
have
beautiful
it.
and feminine, and I feel good when I see it. Like, nice colors.
Yeah, this was a really, really fun one. I really liked it. Trying to think, the one before that, I'm like, they're all kind of blurring together. I think the other one, let me see, what was the other one that I guess I can share. I'm trying to think, what was the other, sorry, because I'm right in the middle. Oh, you know what? I can share the one I did. This one is partially done, because we're doing, I've only done some of the pages. We're like literally in the thick of it. So this was another one. They do like party balloon decorations, and kind of like event decor. It's kind of like their primary, I guess, like signature offer. So again, they have like different services, and they have a shop attached to it as well. So, and this was also a redesign. Oops, I'll kind of go like this so it doesn't mirror you guys. So yeah, so bringing in basically what I wanted to do here, because it's a local small business, was really kind of playing up the locality for SEO, bringing in all their reviews and kind of like these like trust badges, right? So if somebody's browsing, you kind of get the impression, they have a lot of high reviews, quality reviews. So kind of local credibility, local services, featuring their signature services, kind of highlighting, what they do, because they have so much. They have balloon delivery, party decor, photo booth, event assistance. They kind of have a lot. So trying to, kind of hone in on what to, I guess, like how to structure it. This is their, they do delivery balloons. They have like a whole shop for local pickup or delivery. So again, just playing up some of those, kind of highlighting their differentiators. They do custom design, local delivery, that sort of thing. So again, another fun one. Pulling in the Google reviews. And I always like to do a little bio about the business owner when they're a small business. And then let me see there.
It's pretty.
Yeah, this was another fun one. And then let me see, what was the one? I'm trying to think of which page I've done and which page is still pending.
That background is magic. What we're looking at right there. Like,
Yeah, it's
there's. I see a lot of design, and when I see something like that, like, oh, it's so good. So much good about that background. Oh,
Thank you. I appreciate that. I'm trying to think which page is done. Okay, I did do this page. I can show you. You can see their old pages. They're still up. They kind of look. This is like their original, like kind of just more simplistic. And let me see. You can kind of see this is like their previous design. So just a lot of like text and photos laid out. This is their. I'll just show you one last page and I'll be done. Oh, and this was a lot of like I did a lot of because I try to also do SEO research in terms of like what the H1 tag should be. So kind of this was a page, an example of I think they had like custom designs or something was their original, kind of like their headline and everything. They had no metadata. So kind of doing research around what the H1 tag should be and the H2 tags and that sort of thing. Kind of honing in on that. And yeah, just doing all their graphics. So this is all their, I mean, it's kind of just basic, some FAQs. Yeah, and then I mean they have some more internal pages. Let me see if there's anything interesting. Oh, I think I've published the other ones. Yeah, I think we're like in the middle of upgrading everything, so the other ones aren't published. And then this is just their shop. So yeah, and then they had like all mismatched photos. So I just kind of told them to kind of customize, clean up all their photos, make sure it's always crisp white background, kind of have everything matching because this was kind of just a mishmash before. Yeah, anyway, so I think that probably gives you a good idea. So that's it.
How did you implement e-commerce on that first site?
So that one was on Squarespace. So, you know, they have a built-in e-commerce kind of feature. A lot of times, you know, with Squarespace for small businesses, it's pretty straightforward. It's where it kind of goes wonky is the photography. They don't do, I don't know if I'm answering your question, but it just.
Well, you said Squarespace. That's the answer, I guess. If it's a
Yeah, that one was Squarespace, but yeah, that one's easy, just like as an add-on feature. So yeah, I don't do the back end stuff like maybe half of you in the room or some of you in the room.
The graphic design is yours as well, yeah?
Yeah. Some of the graphics, sometimes they have, like the book author has some graphics, but then I end up having to manipulate them a lot because they'll just have, you know, like here's like some of them she literally had like she took a photo of her book pages, if that makes sense. And so kind of trying to manipulate the graphics.
So what was it about Squarespace picture that was like difficult for you?
What about using Squarespace was difficult?
Yeah, like you mentioned, like when it comes to pictures, there was like issues with it. I was just kind of curious what issues you had.
Oh, no. Sorry. No, not with Squarespace. I meant just in terms of every shop is only as good as the photography is all I was saying. It's a lot of more like, it's one thing to just kind of, I guess, implement it. It's another thing I'm trying to tell the client how to standardize their photos. Because even if I design the most beautiful page, if the photos are all terrible, it's not going to look well. It's not going to look good.
Okay. Yeah.
That's
Agreed.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah. So they kind of go hand in hand. Yeah. So that was it.
You're located, where are you located?
I'm in Pasadena area.
Okay. Awesome.
Yeah. East of LA.
Yeah, feel free to share your info.
Yeah.
On it.
Yeah, I'll put it in. And Omari, or maybe for next time, actually, something Elliot was talking about sparked a question I had, but it was a very, I didn't want to go off base from if anyone still needs to present or if you guys have to drop off, like more like a technical back end question that it reminded me of.
Oh, I see. We had a question.
I could save it for next time.
Yeah, that'd be great. Yeah, hold on to that one, and we'll we'll go on to that next time.
Sounds good.
Great. Okay, cool. So who I know, Baron, you're still waiting to go, and is there anybody else that's looking to go? Okay. Cool. All right, Ryan, floor is yours.
All right. Cool. I get to present. Thanks, everybody, for having me. Let's see. I've been chatting, or I was about to chat with Elliot, so let me get back to where I was working on here. Yeah, my name is Ryan, and where is my screen sharing? Here we go. And we're going to go here. All right. So I've done a lot of things over the years. I started off in big entities. So I worked for American Standard for a number of years, and then I worked for a company called Village Home for a number of years, and they're both billion-dollar companies, you know. And I did a lot of web development, small projects, doing the same thing in multiple languages. This was before Google Translate. So I did stuff like that for years in the beginning part of my career, and now it's 24 years later or something like that. And building a lot of different technologies. Over the years, I've built hundreds of projects. Some of it is e-commerce. I've sold my own e-commerce. Here's an example of a project I did for an affordable rate for a family of product inventors based in Balboa, California, who are there, and they make bows. And these bows, are for kids, for little kid bows, and that's basically it.
I want one.
Yeah, you want one yourself? All right. Well, I know you can get them at most of the major retailers. They just have them in the little bow section, and they have $1 million business selling bows. This is built in Shopify. I built the menus, built all this stuff, or ran teams. I do a lot of product management, so as a product manager, product owner, I manage the development of things, usually longer, larger projects that have a lot of intricacy. And that's kind of my role these days. Years ago, I worked for an agency in Colorado Springs, and they had some bunch of big clients, including the rodeo championships and the this racing series. I'm more proud of the racing series, but I built their statistical databases and the basic outlines for their websites. And it looks like this website's still built on the same framework I built like 12 years ago, or 15 years ago. But included their racing transponder data that would come right off the cars. And it would be coming in through API. We gather the data and we knew what they were doing by lap. And we'd be like filling it in here automatically. So we did some API connections way back in the day. Recently, this is what I've been working on. So I've been working on really nice websites, which I'm about to show you. Just like real estate websites. These are my ideal clients. These people pay me significantly for custom websites, $20,000 plus. And that's predominantly who I work for. But what I'm interested in is going further into the technology of just all of these things. Oh, let me show you some other things I've built over the years. Social media plans. This is various types of social media scheduling. I run that's the brand. Where's the tile? There it is. So then we brand out designs. So we have social media designs that we carry through. And we bring those through. We make sure our shapes break the grid whenever we can. We keep our stuff together, make it interesting. And then, I do skill development. I'm running small teams, training designers from juniors to seniors, that kind of stuff. It's kind of work I do on a day-to-day basis. I'm talking to developers of certain skill sets and programmers and giving them projects and working as a product manager, as a product owner between various entities and make sure the quality stays there. This is the guy that does scripting for film and TV. He's up in LA or north. We're up by Magic Mountain, that area up there. And I did a lot of motion in the background here. I was proud of this project because I just threw little tiny bits of motion. This was a few years back, like 4 years ago now, something like that. I wrote this up. It's very simple, but it is almost an app, because it's all about this object here, which is coming up, which is scheduling. So you kind of get yourself into these pretty elaborate questions, which I think I built here. So you can put the script together and it kind of gives you a pricing model, and it shows you examples. It loads them in here. I may have broken it just now because I clicked too fast. But anyway, no preview. That one previews. You go through this process of shopping for scripts, and this is all custom checkout using various features, and then it kind of makes modifications on the scripts. You get a custom price over here. But I like doing little bits of animation. Animation has always fascinated me. I worked as an animator in the beginning part of my career. It's actually what I did first before I even got into the web development. I came out of school as an animator, doing 3D work. And then I realized I got locked in like a server room for a whole summer. And after I lost a summer to being an animator and I barely saw the light of day, I was like, I don't want to do this job anymore. So I changed and I became a web developer, and they gave me a window. And
The technology of this site.
what's that?
What's the technology of this site?
It's a lot of JavaScript, but the framework is built on WordPress.
Uh-huh.
Yep. This is one of my largest clients right here. I've been working with this client, and this very, very simple website is actually super, super large. And it has a bunch of activities inside of it. And I did something like built porous paywalls, and I trained video production teams, and I provided basically CTO, fractional CTO services for this company for a number of years as they develop their technologies and move stuff around. And it's a pretty big entity. It's 10,000. It's a 10,000 person community. 10,000. I think it's like 15,000 now. 15,000 person community, and membership, free membership, all sorts of social sign-ins, animated buttons, blah blah blah. It's big. They paid a lot for it over the years. Every year it was one of my larger clients. Like I said, this is what I'm building right now. Building custom real estate work. And what I'm really wanting to show off is I want to talk about technical SEO, because this is on a WordPress site right here. So right here on the WordPress site, the only reason the performance is 89 is because I put animation on the website. So there's animation on this website, which took me out of the 90s, but there's that. And I just kind of wanted to show that a little bit, and then maybe go over to an example of Wolf Built. Let me launch that one. This is an example of a progressive web app called a PWA. It's built in SvelteKit, Node.js. Everything loads dynamically, super, super clean. It's got all sorts of magical animations. It runs incredibly on mobile. And it does weird things like this. I'm scrolling. It's got all sorts of unique scroll events. We're able to add on to it. And it's got download abilities and full size and resolution. But what really makes me happy, because I'm a total tech geek, is that when you run this kind of stuff through your performance trackers, for your technical SEO, what comes out is squeaky clean, like super squeaky clean. And it just makes me happy. Okay, there's no SEO on this thing yet because we haven't finished releasing it. So there's really just no SEO. There's like all the SEO tags are missing. But yeah, the performance, got to look at the mobile. This hasn't had the mobile performance add on to it. Here's the desktop performance. So this will be 100 also by the time we finish. So it'll be a 99, 100, 100, and 100 off of this particular platform. And that's because we're using SvelteKit. SvelteKit is magical. If you are a coder, if you are actually into coding, it is a magical occurrence. You should definitely do it. It takes out everything that's hard and gives it to you like in a little platter, and you have to do just all the best parts of it. So that's what I kind of wanted to show at the end of the day, is like I've done a lot of projects over the years, and I could go into cybersecurity and that secondary part of it. But I think today is about building, like stuff that you've built and what you actually like to build. And so for me, I'm obviously indicating towards, I do high grade presentation websites. Occasionally I build small applications, occasionally a mobile application. And I guess here's some more stuff. I should probably throw some other stuff in here. This is something I did for a place up in Menlo Park, Stanford Park, nannies up in San Francisco. They're a big multi-million-dollar entity. They're babysitters and nannies, take care of the Facebook people's families and like the Google families and that kind of stuff. It's a very sophisticated site. It had a lot of APIs that had to connect into the local job things. And I was like, how did you guys figure out how to do this? But it was an interesting project. They got, so that's one. I did. It's pretty big. It was pretty big. I rarely use it now. This girl gets the most traffic of all my websites right here. She is a top 100 podcaster. I got her because I was working in Galvanize. I think Elliot, you're asking about. I was inside of Galvanize in Boulder, and they have boot camps there also, and they're good. But I was working in Galvanize, and this like designer was recommended to me that came over, and we were talking. She's like, I got this site that's got this problem. And I'm like, what's going on? She's like, I got this traffic issue. And I was like, what's going on? And like, she was getting like 3,000 and 10,000 a day on the site with like 300 simultaneous. And it was just like stressing the shit on the server. Like, it was just like, the server was like, eh! And then I ran open the code, and I opened up the log files and got inside of it and everything like that. And it was just a mess. It was a WordPress site that was beautiful on the outside that a designer had built that was just like a mess on the inside. And that's what happens when you don't clean it up. It's just, that's what happens. And for cheaper sites, there's no reason to clean it up. But if you are getting 3,000 people a day on your website, you need someone to clean it in order to make sure. So I did that for her. What I've done for her is clean her sites, put it on my servers, and she gets as much traffic as everybody else does combined. Like, because she's doing 3,000 to 10,000 a day simultaneous. Most of the time it's like 4,000, but before Christmas she was boosting again. It has a Shopify site attached to it. I did a little bit of programming in the Shopify site. I did none of this design, so you can look at this design, Anna, and be like, oh yeah, it's not mine. Design. But yeah, she's great. I could listen to her read the dictionary, and I would fall asleep to her reading the dictionary. She's very good at what she is. She's great at, and she lives in Pasadena, so you guys could see her. If you live in Pasadena, she lives there. Yeah. So she's probably rolling around in some, nice car. She'll pop out, and like, oh. So yeah, cool books too. I ordered sets of her books, and I gave them to family, and they're great. This is a long time ago. This is like 5-6 years ago. I was trying to learn Webflow. I built this in Webflow, me and another designer, like a junior. So I trained a junior to build this, basically understood what Webflow was, built everything in Webflow. You can see there's no animation on anything, but it's great. Yeah, Webflow is kick-ass, man. That's what I have to say about it. Like, when it comes down to it, Webflow is pretty solid. This is my design. This is probably one of the last projects I designed, and I don't do a lot of design anymore. I have other people that do design. And I'm always looking for new designers, so maybe I'll call Anna. But yeah. Oh yeah, I was going through Elliot stuff, so I'm sure there's more at the end of the day, but you guys can ask questions, because I mean, when it comes down to work, I'm looking for 10,000 and up for a project. Like, most of my projects are upwards of 20, and I'm building long-term custom pieces of things that people are more mission critical for the operations of their success. And I'm willing to share off my leads. I never really thought of it. When the lady called me the other day, it was like $5,000. I'm like, could have been like, throw it into the leads group. Like, that would be perfect. So that's where I am. That's where I came from. Been doing this for a long time, right? I started programming when I was 13, and I'm 45. Yeah, and yeah. Other than that, I'm interested in AI. I'm interested in hacking stuff. I love scraping and breaking things now, because I've built so much over the years. It's kind of fascinating to me to break stuff, just like it would be for a builder to go to a demolition site. I kind of enjoy that stuff, and for fun, I do that in my free time. I have Burp Suite. I'm finishing my Burp Suite certification, and Pen Tester Plus, that kind of stuff.
I've got a question.
Yeah.
I don't know if anybody else does, but so how do you typically work with your clients? Do you generally have like an ongoing, like, are you like hired on retainer, so you basically work with them over time, or is it more like project based?
It's both. It depends on the size of the project. I am Scrum certified, so I break it into pieces. What do I like to do? For mostly my, for my builder clients, I give them one price. I ask them what they want, and I give them a price that they can afford, and we put it together. For the larger clients, it's definitely like, it just kind of keeps going. And as clients become more comfortable, I just get open retainers. I'm really, really, really fair. I track all my hours. I track everybody else's hours. I track everything. I know how many hours someone can actually work in 8 hours. And it's not 8. Just so you know, I know all sorts of things about all sorts of patterns of behavior, and like, I've had to do it for years. I think one of my greatest skill sets is just like, first, knowing how to solve every problem is just like learning how to solve problems, and then secondly, like, it's knowing when to challenge things and how to challenge people to get the right results out in the right way. And that takes a little bit of time and effort and practice, because you don't always do it the right way. And even sometimes, occasionally, it's just a volatile situation, but you can navigate it with care. And that's really the trick of getting it, because developers are developers. And when you're building smaller projects, you're just working on yourself, but especially, and I've never had this problem ever with a female developer, but male developers, especially aggressive male developers, have had to challenge the work consistently in order to get quality work out. And it doesn't mean they don't do quality work. It's just sometimes you have to challenge it. But I've never had that problem ever. With the small handful of female developers I've worked with, it's been spectacular. So, looking at the audience, and there's a lot of women here, just respect. People perform at different rates. People just put stuff together. And there's some of the days you have people just put stuff together. But, when you get a great team together, you get great designers and you get great programmers, and all the communication is going right, and they're all self-managing, and all you have to do is just make sure that there's lists. Life is pretty good like that. Life is pretty great. Like, when you can get that balance going, I love that moment. That's one of my favorite moments. And I try to achieve that on every project for as long as possible, is like, get everything going and let it all self-organize, and just kind of be gently touching it. And yeah.
Awesome.
Yeah.
I also, what was I going to ask? Do you help to like I was thinking about the blog client that you were talking about. Did you build her site, or did you grow her site, or did you both? Did you do both?
Which one's the blog client?
You had the one that you were talking about who's in Pasadena.
You're talking about. You said blog client. I thought photos.
I know you built her, but
Lavender. Yeah.
I was just wondering if you helped her to grow, because I have clients that are they're maybe looking to grow their blogs and these types of things. Is that something that you provide, or is it primarily just building the site for them?
Do I do the marketing? You're asking me, do I do the marketing?
Sure, absolutely.
I do not do anything with her marketing. She is a marketing genius. She is a video producer and a marketing maven. Like, she knows how to get herself places and smile and look right on camera and do all sorts of amazing things. I handle hard technology for her. Like, I picked up her website and it looked great on the outside, and then I kicked it a few times and stuff started falling out. So I had to pick it up and look up and peel it open and be like, okay. And then, I was like, I got to do a bunch of work for you. And here's the deal. Here's how I got her. Like, I had to do a bunch of work for her. But she was like, I just don't want to spend that much right now. I don't really know. So I did the work for her out of just judging her and knowing that she's Asian, and knowing that Asians follow the law of reciprocity at a super high level. And I was like, let me just do all this work for you. So I did a bunch of work, like 25 hours of work for her. And the entire time I'm like, I'm doing tons of work for you. Doing tons of work for you. At the end of it, she just became my client, and she pays 3 times as much as a normal hosting client does, because she gets 10 times the traffic. And it's been great. She's, so she's the equivalent of 3 or 4 websites hosting wise. And I don't host cheap websites. My hosting is high. High. I only do premium website hosting. I only do premium. And the reason being is I can't take delays when I need to get websites up and running. That cost is worth $1,000 to me per year or more to not have any delays. So I only use WP Engine. I only use AWS and with premium services. Yeah. I learned the hard way. And I used to host all my stuff and handle it all myself. And I was busy just doing hosting, hating my life. There's certain things I just don't like to do. And I guess that was part of it. So my recommendation is charge people $100 a month for hosting and give it to them full service, and then find a great hosting provider that does it for like, $25 to $50 a month and make the difference. Because then you don't have to do very much and they get super high quality hosting. And then if anything goes wrong, you have a hosting company that's going to solve it for you, that you don't have to solve people's crises. Because trying to solve other people's crises is super expensive and they want it for free. And really, if they've already paid for it, the hosting company will take care of it for you. And all you have to do is keep light communication. They clean my websites when they get hacked for me now. They don't rebuild it, and I still have to do that kind of stuff, but they'll do a quick cleaning. All sorts of tips I could have, probably, of different ways that I've figured out how to do it, and also ways I've avoided certain types of work that I find less pleasant. Servers are vulnerable. Protect your APIs. Watch out for WordPress. Get WordFence on all your stuff. Make sure you have double backups. I don't know where we're going now with this. It's no longer presentation, but someone stop me and we can go into either questions or
Yeah, I don't know if anybody else have any other questions.
Yeah, I have a question. One of the websites used FeltKit. What is that again? Or I don't know if I'm spelling it correct. FELT kit.
It's like svelte with an E. Svelte, like
Svelte kit. Okay.
Man, that suit makes you look svelte. SvelteKit is the language that your programmer wants to be programming on. SvelteKit is the #1 language that most JavaScript programmers wish they were programming in. SvelteKit is gold. SvelteKit is an ultra high level language. It's better. It's like React, but better. React is a full featured application language with everything, and you can learn about the differences, but basically SvelteKit is like easy code React. It doesn't carry any of the weight that React does with it. So you drop like all the extra weight from React, which isn't a lot of weight. And you're just dealing with like what you need to deal with, which is awesome.
Sounds neat. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. So this is SvelteKit. It's beautiful. It's every programmer that I've introduced this to has come back to me and said, man, I only want to program in SvelteKit now. I don't ever want to program in anything else again. So it's a language of the future. Let's talk about this PWAs, or let's talk about what is a PWA, because like a progressive web app is a very interesting thing, because it kind of breaks down what is a progressive web app and how this is a tool for the future and why certain packages are like this, because Webflow builds progressive web apps in one way or another. It's part of what they're executing at the end. And React is a progressive web app. That's basically what you're getting there in a React bundle, is a progressive web app. And SvelteKit is just a very clean, thin, progressive web app. Which enable app experiences built and deployed on the web. Basically, you just get better access to the device usage, and you're using a compiler, which means that everything gets much cleaner code because you're not having to deal with monolithic structure like WordPress. Monolithic. It's like those words that you're like, oh, that's what WordPress is. It doesn't make it sound so sexy anymore, but WordPress is still awesome. I mean, I'm not against it. I've done a lot of work in WordPress. In the future, the way I see it is AI is going to be developing, or AI will be our tools. We'll be using AI tools to build things faster and easier, using tools like what I saw earlier in Heejung. I think she said that tool, which is going to be building a progressive web app. So as we develop our design, we can stay in whatever languages we want to, but as we move forward, we're going to see a lot of the powerful stuff is going to shift over into here. It becomes more complex, becomes more flexible. and it becomes slightly more vulnerable because complexity increases.
Mm.
Yeah.
Mm.
How about you, Elliot? I know you have a question for me. Ask me a question.
Well, it seems like you've been at this for a while, and it seems like you would consider yourself a successful consultant, entrepreneur person. So I don't know, what are your words to the wise, and what are some red flags you see to decide not to take a project?
That's a good question. Budgets that are $5,000 or less. I mean, honestly, red flags. This industry is complex. The reason people pay us to do it is because it's hard. It's not easy. It takes a lot of organized thought. Yeah, a smart 15-year-old can do it, but that kid is smart, like real smart. And they're not building beautiful things. To actually be able to build beautiful things and get good at building beautiful things, like it just takes time. And making things, any fool can make something complex, but making something simple takes genius. These are the kind of tips that we give people. Pay attention to your budgets, time box your production. Make sure you take like Scrum methodology or another major methodology, because Agile's not quite good enough to teach you everything you need in order to be able to manage a project well. Scrum is easy to learn and fast, and you can get a certification in it within a week, and it's worthwhile. Watch out when you pick projects with friends. Make sure that your friendship is going to last. Yeah, most of it's probably about who you work with, you know, the kind of projects you get. Yeah, everybody wants projects with budgets. Only about less than half the projects really have like significant budgets, or probably less than that even. So yeah, figure out your way through that in one way or another. Here's an example. What was her name? Colleen. This client had $2,500. I was like, oh yeah, I can do it. All you need is a website. It'll be super easy. All I need to do is put a photo gallery together. She would have been okay with something that was lame. I, on the other hand, am not okay with lame things. I am super focused that my stuff I build is not lame. So I've had a challenge. All of a sudden, I'm 40 hours into this project. I'm like, do you have any more money? Like, nope, $2,500. Like, wait a second. I have more things to build. I've been so busy trying to get this thing to here. I'm already 40 hours into this project. I had to figure it out. I'm like, what do we do here? So that is a challenge. Don't underbid. Be careful of it in the beginning, but in the beginning, what you're gonna underbid. You need to have the resume work. It's a facet of growing somewhere. I don't know what else to tell you, because in the beginning you're hungry. Like you want the work. As you get better at it, like by the time I finished this project, it took me 75 hours to finish a project. It was a $2,500 project. I made $33 an hour. Then I had to pay people. I made even less. Like, you know, get what I'm saying? Like, it was terrible. Financially, not something I'm proud of. Is it great? Yeah. Project, great. I finished it to a place where I think it highlights her work really well, her older work, her newer work. Most of this is older work. This one's newer. You can tell because she didn't have any more resolution for some of her photos. She didn't have a lot of photos, but I built this like larger structure, and I thought I could do it for $2,500 using WordPress. But it turned out that my own perfectionism got in the way of me finishing this project within any reasonable amount of time. And I realized that I can't handle clients that don't have enough of a budget, because that's the type of delivery that I'm promising in my work. Is my work is great. Like, that's how I want it to be. I'm not going to release it until it's great. I have a problem with releasing work that's not great. That's how I actually am. So that, what can I say? I mean, it's up to you how you approach, how you release your work, you know, but quality helps to get more work. And that's why people have hired me, is because of the quality. But not all my clients have budgets. And I've got to be really careful about that to respect them. So that's what I would be conscious of, is understanding. And even if they do have budgets, some of them just don't want to spend more. On the other hand, this guy has a very similar site. He has spent with me $45,000, $50,000 over the life of this site for his photography site. It's just his personal photography site, but he has a budget. He can afford to. You know, he lives in a really, really nice house right next to Apple, and he invested early, and he invested a lot frequently. So he has a budget. So he doesn't have a problem with spending across 8 years, 50 plus on his own personal photography website. I love this client. He's an old guy, and we chat, and we talk. And I did this website, and it was for his girlfriend. So that's what happened here. In this particular relationship, I did this website for his girlfriend, and I couldn't pull it off. Yeah. This client, I gave work to for free in the beginning, but I knew she had money, and she has paid me back ×5 or ×10 with her hosting fees. It's been great. So, you know, I charge her, what is it? Probably $300 a month for her hosting or more. Fantastic. It pays for the whole server slice that I have, or server. Like, that's great. So, you know, it people are people, you know, so you do your best, watch out. People will suck you. And also, like, you'll make promises that are hard to complete. My first project was in a tool called Drumbeat. Amari, are you old enough to remember Drumbeat?
I don't.
It was built by a company called Macromedia, and they built it before they built Dreamweaver. They acquired it, and they built this thing called Drumbeat, and it was a database-related application where you drag and drop database relationships together, and you're able to build data-related pages just by dragging data relationships together. And it was an e-commerce site, and I couldn't build it right the first time. I felt so bad that I couldn't build it right, and I had taken these people's money that I had to rebuild it. And it took me 5 months of working weekends to rebuild that site, because I had a full-time job during that time period. I did it for honor. It taught me a lot. I did it once in Drumbeat, and it didn't work. So then I had to go back and reprogram it myself by hand in ASP. I had to learn how to write a checkout page, because they didn't have checkout pages back then. They had like little templates for what could be a checkout page back then. So these lessons taught me things. That's what I have to say. Like, the lessons that you do, but don't give up. And sometimes you're going to have to get into grind and focus on the education across the pathway. It looks like you guys are already doing that, and keep on doing that, because this is a high education industry. That's just an aspect of it. And it's kind of fun. If you enjoy getting educated, you know, it's good for you. It's healthier than doing other things. You sit around and get educated, and like, yeah. So you ask people about their wins, and I'll also tell you about some of the losses I had over the years. But
Absolutely.
yeah.
Yeah, dude, awesome. That's good stuff. Definitely outside. We definitely went a little past the presentation portion, but that was really good info. So